The next fight at position 5 is a fight in the lightweight division. We have Marcin held versus Damir Hadzovic, and Marcin held was the favorite at minus 345, and the comeback on Damir Hadzovic plus 285. This was a fight again at position number 5, so I did have a bet on the underdog Damir Hadzovic, 18 units to win, 51.30 units. The upset did occur. It was a big win for me. So 51.30 units profit on this fight. My reason for picking the upset here was basically that Damir Hadzovic is young and he's strong and he's a good striker and he's quick and he has a little bounce to his step. And I felt that Marcin held is a very good fighter, but he finds a way to lose. And we've seen him in Bellator. He started off as a leg lock guy, and he would do the leg lock guy thing where he would grab, attempt a leg lock with both hands, leaving his head exposed. And unlike other leg lock guys, he did kind of adapt. He had a couple submissions, if I remember correctly, in Bellator. He had a triangle or an armbar, and he's a good, competent, all-around grappler. And I just felt that he would be true to his nature and find a way to lose. And the fight played out pretty much as I expected. Marcin held, was able to get the takedown and dominate or stay in top position fairly easily, and he was winning the fight handily. And unfortunately, somewhere in the third round, I think it was pretty late, he did a sort of Imanari roll flop where he kind of just, in a way, collapsed his body towards Damir Hadzovic, and Hadzovic, the takedown attempt was on the right side, or the Imanari roll was on Hadzovic right side, and Hadzovic took his left knee and crossed over and just hit Marcin held flush on the side of the head and knocked him right out. So nothing against Marcin held, but I fade Bellator guys a lot. I faded Will Brooks, and I won some good money on him. And again, young Damir Hadzovic, maybe he's not that young, but active, quick, athletic, strong. He's got a chance. Marcin held, just the leg lock guy thing sort of affects his mind, and he just does stupid stuff. And in this case, that stupid stuff did result in the victory for me. My bet on the underdog, Damir Hadzovic, 18 units, won me 51.30 units, one of my biggest wins ever. And at position number 5 was a good 5th pick for me. Up next, we have at position number 4 a fight in the welterweight division. Ben the Killer B Saunders versus Peter Sobotta. Ben Saunders was the favorite at minus 125. Comeback on Peter Sobotta was plus 105. I bet 18 units on the underdog Peter Sobotta to win 18.90 units, and the upset did happen again, and I did in fact win 18.90 units. Researching the fight, thinking about who to bet on, I am familiar with Ben Saunders. He was in the UFC for a while, and he went to Bellator, and then he came back to the UFC. He's tall, and he has a very active guard. He uses a lot of funky moves on the bottom to set his opponent up for elbows and strikes from the bottom, and he's very effective with it. His stand-up is okay. His clinch fighting is really pretty good. He's got great knees and elbows in the clinch, and he's a pretty effective fighter. although he definitely is inconsistent. His opponent, Peter Sobotta, was in the UFC a while ago as well, and he didn't do very well. I think he may have lost all his fights, and he came back recently after a couple of years off, and he showed steady improvement, and I figured that Peter Sobotta from Germany would have the home field advantage over Ben Saunders, this event being held in Stockholm, Sweden, and he'd be motivated, and Ben Saunders was just inconsistent. And I liked what I saw recently from Sobota. He's athletic, he's fast, and he is pretty determined. So I just felt that it was a pick'em fight, or Peter Sobota should have been slightly favored, being the underdog at home. It was a good, solid underdog bet. The outcome is, of course, non-determinable, and what I did here was I focused on the process, and I thought that it was, in fact, a solid pick. And as it turned out, I was correct. Peter Sobotta did very well against Ben Saunders. He was catching him with strikes and using his quickness and athleticism to avoid getting hit all that much. Eventually he clocked Ben Saunders, and Ben Saunders went down in a heap, and he went a little crazy trying to finish him, and he basically was swinging wide, full-strength shots and missing basically every one of them. Eventually he did finish Ben Saunders, but it wasn't a very textbook display. In contrast to the Jack Hermanson fight, he knew exactly what to do, which is not to go wild and throw full strength wide shots. But Peter Sobotta got the job done, and my bet on the underdog, Peter Sobotta, 18 units to win 18.90 units was a win, so I profited 18.90 units on that fight at position number 4. Next up at position number 3, we have a fight in the welterweight division. Nicolas Musoke versus Bojan, the Bosnian bomber, Bojan Serbian Steel Velickovic. And Nico Musoke was the favorite at minus 140. To come back on Bojan Velickovic plus 110. I did bet 18 units on the underdog Bojan Velickovic to win 19.80 units. And Bojan did come through for me, and so that fight was a profit of 19.80 units. Victories for me in underdog victories for me in positions 3, 4, and 5. Very solid day for me. My reasoning for this fight is as follows. Bojan Velickovic is young and he's strong and he's a good striker. And Nico Musoke was retired for 2 years. This event was held in Stockholm. Nico Musoke is from Sweden, so they brought him out of retirement because he's a fan favorite. And to me, this fight was a pick'em, or Velickovic should have been favored, and we can attribute that minus 140 line to the fact that he's a popular dude in his hometown. But I thought that Bojan would eventually come through and hit him hard and take him out, and that's exactly what happened. When the finish did come, Velickovic hit Musoke really hard, and Musoke did one of the most exaggerated chicken dances that we've ever seen. It was it was a little scary, and it kind of made me laugh in a morbid way. but he got hit really hard, and eventually Velickovic finished him. And so my underdog bet on Bojan Velickovic, 18 units to win 19.80, did result in a profit of 19.80 units for me at position 3. Next up at position number 2, we have a lightweight fight between Joaquim Neto BJJ Silva and Reza Mad Dog Madhadi. Silva was the favorite at minus 160, and the comeback on Reza Madani at plus 130. I did place an 18 unit bet on the favorite Joaquim Silva to win 11.25 units. I did win the fight at position number 2 for a profit of 11.25 units. My thinking for this fight was that Reza Madani is 38 years old, and he's a good fighter, but I thought that Joaquim Silva was the superior fighter. He's younger, he's stronger, his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills are good, and Reza Madhadi is a wrestler who has been having a little bit of trouble recently, and I thought that Silva would wear him down and win the striking battle and eventually win the fight. As it turned out, that was the correct outcome. Joaquim Silva does not have very good defense, and Reza Madhadi was popping him in the face. And if Reza Madhadi had been more striking, was a better striker and younger, that he probably would have knocked Neto BJJ out. But he did win, and I was very happy for that. So my favorite bet on Neto BJJ Silva, 18 units to win 11.25 units, did result in a profit of 11.25 units for me.